Yesterday is one of the most famous songs by the English rock band The Beatles. Written by Paul McCartney and credited to Lennon-McCartney, it was first released on the album Help in August 1965, except in the United States where it was issued as a single in September. What's up everyone, welcome back. For those who don't know, this YouTube channel is dedicated to my favorite band, The Beatles. So if you like The Beatles, make sure you subscribe and you check out my other videos because you're definitely gonna find them interesting. There is also a PayPal link for donations in the description. Now in today's video, I'll tell you the story behind one of the best songs ever written, Yesterday by The Beatles. So let's go back to the story. McCartney's vocal and acoustic guitar, together with a string quartet, essentially made the first solo performance of the band. It remains popular today and with more than 2,200 cover versions is one of the most covered songs in the history of recorded music. Yesterday was voted the best song of the 20th century in a 1999 BBC Radio 2 poll of music experts and listeners, and it was also voted the #1 pop song of all time by MTV and the Rolling Stone magazine. In 1963, when the Beatles moved from Liverpool to London, Paul McCartney was dating the English actress Jane Asher. Paul got on very well with the Asher family and jumped at the chance when the Ashers asked him if he would like to make their family home his London base. Although he was already rich and famous, he stayed at 57 Wimpole Street in central London for a few years. Paul was giving the room at the top of the house at the back. It was almost a self-contained apartment with its own bathroom. It had a bed, a record player and a small piano. Under the bed, Paul kept his gold records and his MBE. Early one morning, Paul woke up in his bedroom with a tune in his head. He went straight over to the piano he had by the bed to play it. He called the tune Scrambled Eggs. Paul spent some time not quite believing that he had in fact written the song, thinking maybe it was some obscure old song. He would play it to everyone he met, asking if they recognized it. Of course, no one did. Paul said, "Eventually, it became like handling something in to the police. I thought that if no one claimed it after a few weeks, then I would have it." So, because Paul didn't think he actually wrote the song, he couldn't be asked to write proper lyrics to it. So the way he used to sing it was like this. Scrambled eggs. Oh my darling, how I love your legs, but not as much as I like scrambled eggs. Not very sellable, is it? As to when this all happened, however, opinions are divided. Some claim that it was written just a few weeks before it was recorded. John Lennon, however, remembered the song kicking around for months. Paul wrote nearly all of it, he said, but we just couldn't find the right title. Every time we got together to write songs, this would come up. We called it Scrambled Eggs and it became a joke between us. We almost had it finished when we made up our minds that only a one-word title would suit. Then one morning Paul woke up and the song and the title were both there. I know it sounds like a fairy tale, but it's the plain truth. George Martin's memory was that the song had existed in some form or another for well over a year. I first heard Yesterday when it was known as Scrambled Eggs at George V Hotel in Paris in January 1964, George Martin said. Paul was still working on it when they were filming their second movie, Help, in 1965, as director Richard Lester recalls. At some point during that period, we had a piano on one of the stages, and he was playing that Scrambled Eggs song all the time. It got to the point where I said to him, if you play that bloody song any longer, I'll have the piano taken off stage. Either finish it or give it up. After completing filming, Paul and Jane took a holiday at the Portuguese villa of their friend Bruce Welch of The Shadows. It was on the 180-mile journey from the airport that Paul finally nailed it. It was a long, hot, dusty drive, Paul recalled. Jane was sleeping, but I couldn't. And when I'm sitting for that long in a car, either I manage to get to sleep or my brain starts going. I remember mulling over the tune Yesterday and suddenly getting these little one-word openings to the verse. Welch confirmed this. I was packing to leave and Paul asked me if I had a guitar. He'd apparently been working on the lyrics in the journey from the airport at Lisbon. He borrowed my guitar and started playing the song that we all know as Yesterday. Even by the Beatles' exceptional standards, Monday the 14th of June 1965 was something of a masterclass in productivity. Just a few days after the announcement that they were to be awarded MBEs, Members of the British Empire, by the Queen, the group were back at EMI Studios, now known as Abbey Road Studios of course. The afternoon saw them record 2 songs, I've Just Seen a Face and I'm Down. But it was in the evening session between 7 and 10 PM when they recorded Yesterday, or more accurately, Paul recorded it on his own, alone with his acoustic guitar. I brought the song into the studio for the first time and played it on the guitar, Paul recalls. But soon Ringo said I can't really put any drums on it, it wouldn't make sense. And John and George said there's no point in having another guitar. So the producer George Martin suggested why don't you just try it by yourself and see how it works. I looked at all the others. Oops, you meant a solo record? They said yeah, it doesn't matter, there's nothing we can add to it, do it. And so he did. Once the song was taped that Monday in June 1965, the Beatles and their producer George Martin began to wonder what to do with it. Martin remembers saying to Paul, the only thing I can think of is adding strings, but I know what you think about that. And Paul said, what about a very small number of string players, a string quartet, that is to say, a cello, a viola and 2 violins. He thought that was very interesting. Paul's own version of the story differs slightly, in that he claims he was initially against the idea because they were a rock band, but he trusted George Martin and the pair worked on the arrangement together at George Martin's house. McCartney performed 2 takes of Yesterday on the 14th of June 1965. Take 2 was the best and used as the master take. On the 17th of June, an additional vocal track by McCartney and a string quartet were overdubbed on take 2, and that version was released. Take 1, without the string overdub, was later released on the Anthology 2 compilation. On take 1, McCartney can be heard giving chord changes to George Harrison before starting. But while Harrison does not appear to actually play it, he was almost certainly present because his voice is captured on the session tapes. In summer 1965, Yesterday was included on the Help album in the UK, although it didn't feature in the movie. The song was given a US single release on the 13th of September 1965, spending 4 weeks at number 1. However, the song did not receive a UK single release until the 8th of March 1976, when it made number 8 in the charts. Yesterday would go on to be arguably one of the most famous songs by the Beatles, so much so that John Lennon remarked in a 1980 interview, I go to restaurants and the groups always play Yesterday. Yoko and I even sang the guy's violin in Spain after he played Yesterday for us. He couldn't understand that I didn't write the song, but I guess he couldn't have gone from table to table playing I Am the Walrus. Alright, that was pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. You can also follow me on Instagram or Facebook. And the most important thing is, if you like the Beatles, make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel and you check out my other videos because you're definitely going to find them interesting. I usually visit Beatles locations like Paul McCartney's house in London or Abbey Road Studios and all the Beatles childhood homes in Liverpool, you name it. So check out the videos because you're definitely going to find them interesting. There is also a PayPal link for donations in the description. Of course, every donation will be absolutely appreciated. Thank you so much for watching until the end. See you next time. Bye.
Well, I'm afraid that's us run out of time.
Oh,
I'm really
okay.
sorry.
Oh,
So,
Bye everyone.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
If I give my heart to you, I must be sure from the very start that